All right, we've got a case study on ethics, and we're going to be looking at a short response for this. So let's start reading the question first, and then we'll dive in. Determine the CFA Institute standard that Anne has most likely violated by accepting Shah's account without inquiring about the composition of her $20 million portfolio already invested with various managers, and justify your response. So we know from the question that there was likely a violation, so we need to kind of figure out the context and then decide what standard that was. Lisa Ann CFA is a senior portfolio manager at Crescent Bay, a small asset management firm in the U.S. that caters to high net worth individuals. Ann is meeting with a prospective client, Lana Shah, who wants to invest $5 million with Crescent Bay. During the meeting, Ann learned that Lana has a total of US $20 million invested in various asset classes with several other asset managers. Still, she does not know the exact composition of the total funds invested. That seems key here. Since Shah is retired and only 65 years old with no dependents, Ann determines she has a single stage long-term 15 to 25 year time horizon. Considering her long-term time horizon, Ann believes that knowing the composition of the 20 million USD invested with other asset managers is not necessary, as there is sufficient time to recoup losses if they occur. All right, I think we have enough information here in paragraph 1. So I've got the answer down below. I'm going to scroll. So I'll just scroll here. So we violated standard 3C on suitability. And the key here is, so that's going to be our determine. That'll be 1 point. And then 2 points for the justification. Anne cannot confirm suitability of her strategy if she does not understand the allocation of the other client assets. Therefore, her strategy may not be suitable. If she has no idea how the other investments are allocated, there may be significant overlap in what she's doing in her strategy relative to the other managers. And if there's significant overlap, it may be hard for her to justify that her strategy is suitable. And they also she didn't really ask a lot of questions about what the client needs the money for, goals and whatnot. She just kind of determines that they have a long time horizon based on their age and no dependents. So 1 point for determine, 2 for justify, and there you have it. Question 2. Identify the CFA Institute standard Anne has most likely violated by asking Parker to invest on behalf of Lana's account. Justify your response. So it gives us 3 options here. Are we violating suitability, fair dealing, or delegation of responsibility? Anne prepares to invest the first tranche of US $1 million from Shah's account the next day. Because of her busy schedule for the day, she asks Peter Parker, CFA, junior portfolio manager with Crescent Bay, to identify 10 stocks having high growth potential and to invest Shah's $1 million equally in those. Later in the day, Anne discusses the CFA Institute Code and Standards with Parker. Okay, I don't think there's any more information there. It's mainly in this paragraph here. So within there, what are we violating here? So whenever you get a question that gives you choices basically, and then to justify, you're going to want to choose the choice, and then it's also usually good in your response to kind of rule out the other ones. So suitability, this kind of goes back to the first question, but are these 10 growth stocks really suitable? It's hard to know based on the fact that Anne hasn't gotten to know the client well enough. So that seems like it'll be our culprit here. Fair dealing, that's going to relate to fair dealing relative to other clients. There's no mention of favoring of other clients or anything relative to Shah's account. So that's probably not our answer. And then delegation of responsibility. It's okay to delegate responsibilities. Anne didn't say that she was going to be the one specifically investing all the money. And Peter Parker is also a CFA charter holder and portfolio manager with the firm, so it's probably well qualified to do the tasks that he was given. So here's what that answer looks like. So get 1 point for suitability, identifying that properly, and then 2 points kind of for the rest of that explanation. and failed to learn more about the client to determine whether 10 growth stops is suitable for risk tolerance, therefore suitability, and then no indication of fair dealing, allowed to delegate duties. So yeah, like I mentioned, just to reiterate, if you're given 3 options like this, it's usually good to, in your explanation, to kind of rule out the others to kind of prove out this one, if nothing else for your own logic to think through it. Question 3. Determine whether Statement 1 by Peter on violation of the CFA Institute Code and Standards of Professional Conduct on material non-public information and market manipulation is correct. Justify with 1 reason. All right, so we left off right here. Later in the day, Anne discusses the CFA Institute Standards of Professional Conduct with Parker. She asks him what the standards say about material non-public information and market manipulation. Peter states, Statement 1, a person does not violate the CFA Institute Standards if he uses material non-public information obtained from Mosaic Theory. So Mosaic Theory, as a reminder, is combining non-material non-public information, which is legal to be used, with public information to draw conclusions that might be material non-public information. So really that's just kind of considered good analyst work, taking bits and pieces from different maybe non-material non-public sources and then kind of combining that with what's available publicly to come to conclusions that could benefit or hurt a stock price. So determine whether the Statement 1, so we have not a violation, and I probably should have written this differently. So let's see, not a violation, Parker is correct. And then for the justify, okay to use Mosaic Theory to come to conclusions that are material NPI. And just as kind of a reminder, I was explaining what Mosaic Theory is. The graders are expected to know what Mosaic Theory is. So for you to just say it's okay to use Mosaic Theory, you don't need to explain what Mosaic Theory is in your answer. You're telling, not teaching. Question 4. Determine whether Peter's Statement 2 on violating the CFA Institute Standards of Professional Conduct on material non-public information and market manipulation is correct. Justify your response with 1 reason. All right, Statement 2. We left off at Statement 1, so we're right here. Market manipulation using material non-public information violates the standards. However, moving market prices using public information does not violate the standards. So we need to determine for 1 point and then justify for 2 points. So whether we're violating or not, and we're determining whether it's a correct or incorrect statement. So we're saying this is an incorrect statement. Whether the information is public or not, intentional market manipulation is always a violation of the standards. And so we're going to get 1 point there, 2 there. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Even if the information is public, doing so, using that information to intentionally manipulate the market is not okay.